Today Anna will be talking about mixed ability groups, mixed ability junior groups, right?
Dear colleagues, thank you all for coming. Thank you for selecting this topic, because there are so many speakers today, and of course you could have chosen something else, so thank you all for being here with me. So, there are several reasons for choosing this topic to talk about. Well, the first reason is obvious. It's quite challenging, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right. So, the second reason is that I did some research on how to teach, how to create courses for this age group in particular. And the third reason is I've been teaching this age group the longest. I started by working with this age group, actually. So, I decided to focus on the key characteristics of young learners in general. There's something wrong with the sound. Is it me or what? Yeah, is it better? Hello? Is it better? Right, okay. So, main features of young learners, then we'll narrow it down to what preteens are like, yeah, junior groups. Then we'll be talking about some problems that teachers and students will have to deal with, yeah, and I suggest some solutions. There are also, it is important to mention motivation, yeah, because it's one of the key to success if you work with this age group, and also different type of activities and how to design, create, select them, you know, set it up, yeah? Right, so let's get started. So, I know that there are so many participants today, so you didn't get all handouts I prepared, I'm sorry. If you can share the handouts, that can help, really. So, what are young learners like in general? Just a couple of ideas. Who is brave enough? Yeah, so fun is important, yeah? What else? Active. Okay, so those of you who have handouts, you can refer to 8 statements. Can you see them? From A to H. Right? Which of them you think are about young learners? Which of them are describing young learners accurately? Okay. Maybe all of them?
No.
Which one doesn't describe young learners? Okay, what is C about? Aha. So sometimes they're not ready because their cognitive skills are not developed yet. Yeah. So let me just highlight the summary. Yeah. So what are young learners like? First of all, they're still developing. They're developing physically. They're developing cognitively. They're developing emotionally. Do you think it's easy for them to express their emotions? Exactly. Do we need to help them somehow, to teach them how to do that? Can help. Right, I usually start a lesson. Is it me again? I usually start a lesson by asking, how are you? Yeah, whatever the age group, it doesn't matter. It is working, seriously. That's magic. In terms of memory, do they have good memory? Some experts say they remember things well. Now, do they retain information well? Okay, if they like it, yeah? If it is memorable, if it is recycled several times. So their memory is still developing, and we need to help them build some learning strategies. Do you agree? Okay. Now, are they self-oriented? Do they like talking about their lives, something that is applicable to their lives? Exactly. They don't want to read a story about someone abstract. They should be something more specific. Yeah? Right. Why do you think young learners can get bored? An idea? Aha, because they are bursting with energy. Absolutely right. And if you don't let them move, they'll be distracted soon. Okay? Any other?
No TPR.
Yes. Again, movement is important, I agree. Any other aspects? Reading. Yeah, so full of energy, enthusiastic, and if the topic is out of their interest, they get bored easily. But they can keep focused if it is interesting, if it is appealing to them, right? Okay, now let's narrow it down to talking about preteens. Those who are not kids any longer, and their memory may be a little bit better, but is it perfect? No. We still need to help them remember things by giving memorable presentations. I can see quite a few familiar faces. Thank you all for coming and supporting me. All right, that's really nice. So memory, yeah? Another thing, attention span. Of course it's a bit longer now, right? If you compare them to kids. But is it the same in terms of length as adult learners? No. Yeah, adult learners can concentrate for longer periods of time, and even if it's boring, if it's serious, it can work. Not in this case, unfortunately, right? Now, in terms of emotional needs, remember, they find it hard to express emotions. And at this age, actually, they become a little bit moody. Yeah, their mood might change, you know. Their preferences might change. They may like an activity at the very beginning, yeah, and then in a second, in a couple of minutes, yeah, no, boring, yeah? Okay, what is more, do you agree that young learners are often attention seekers? Yeah? Do you need some attention from a teacher? Yes, quite often. Okay, but now, again, approaching teenage, yeah, they become more dependent on their peers. And peer approval will become a lot more important. What does it mean? Do you think group work becomes more reliable? Yeah, we can arrange groups. Yeah, will you have to regroup your students? Can they learn from each other?
Yes.
Should we, let me rephrase it, should we help them develop social skills, interactive skills? So we can see some of the things that we need to work on here on this slide, okay, and in the handouts as well. So in terms of motivation, do you agree with me that their goals seem to be a lot more distant than from adult learners? Yeah? However, they may feel under pressure because of their parents, or because of the school requirements, because they have to take an external exam of some kind, yeah, the Russian state exam at the end of the year, or whatever. Yeah? So we need to work on intrinsic motivation. How can we do that?
Personalized tasks.
Very good. Personalization. That will work for sure. Social skills and interaction, right? So we need to help them interact. Whatever the activity you're setting up, prepare them for that. Okay? And, of course, it's important to mention mixed stability, which is going to happen soon, right? Let's talk about mixed stability. Now, in my opinion, mixed stability is not only the difference in linguistic abilities. It's not only age differences. Do you agree? So they might be mature or immature. What does it depend on?
Self-confidence.
Yes?
Confidence.
Will it depend on their upbringing?
Yes.
They come from different backgrounds. Yeah, they have different experiences, as you have already mentioned. Yes, exactly. And they may, well, be prepared for different tasks and activities, and some of them are unprepared. I had a lesson with one of my groups, and the topic was weather. That's a great topic. They're eager to talk about weather. However, in the course book, I had countries. And there were countries like Argentina, Canada, Scotland, things like that, with different realities from those countries. Do you think they were ready to talk about weather in the countries? That's it. It's irrelevant. Or we need to prepare them because they're just not ready for this topic. Yeah, they can't look at this topic from this perspective. So it took a couple of lessons actually to prepare them for that page in the course book, which is not surprising. Okay, so all of them have different preferences. Do you agree? This is typical of everyone, right? All of our students, not necessarily young learners, have different preferences. Some people are good at this thing, and some people are good at something else, which is great actually, because they can share. They can teach each other, they can inspire each other. And obviously they have different learning experience. I don't know, I work for a private school. We do have kids who come after some kind of experience of learning English with a private tutor, just from a state school, or they might be those who are with us for some time, yeah? And of course their learning experience is different. You have the same? Right. Okay, and general world knowledge. I have already given a good example about weather, right? Probably this will be still relevant here. How about personal characteristics? Are different people different? You see, such a plain words. Yes, exactly. Do we need to cater for different needs, preferences? Yes, we do. Right. What are the challenges? I have already mentioned one. Remember my example about the weather? So, is it easy to find a topic for young learners, of this age especially? Is it easy, okay, is it possible to find a perfect course book? There is no such a thing, right? So what you need, what I want to highlight, those are the challenges, in my opinion, for teachers, first of all. Choosing course books, choosing topics, critically evaluating the materials that are available, right? And prepare your students for something that you want them to do later on. In terms of language, probably you would agree with me, if you teach this or that language item, it doesn't mean they get it. It doesn't mean they can use it. And even after a series of lessons on the same thing, sometimes it's still new for them. Do you have this impression? Yeah. Sometimes, yes, okay. So again, how do we approach language teaching? How do we pre-select the items? Isn't it hard? And obviously our course books don't always help us, right? Okay, and discipline problems. But we have already talked about their energy, their motivation, which is relatively low quite often, right? Or they're under pressure, things like that. So what can help us? Any ideas? Yes? Okay, let's call for him. Let's talk about motivation. How can you motivate young learners?
Some competition.
Okay, appropriate activities. For example, a competition. Okay, you are apples, you are bananas, right? Yeah, I'm going to show you a picture. Who can shout out the picture first? The noun first, for example, or an adjective, or whatever the word, right? Okay, this kind of thing. We don't have time for demonstrating things. I'm sorry, 20 minutes is just nothing. However, I have a couple of ideas what you can do. Yeah? So first of all, at the very beginning of the course, probably you would want to grab their attention. What can be done? Show a picture? Can you show a picture? Yes, okay. Who thinks that showing a short video can help? Great, okay. Okay, what else can we do? There are different tricks, of course. But every time, try to surprise them a little bit. Exactly, exactly. That can help. Get them interested, and then try to get them and keep them engaged. And for that, obviously, you need to observe them and try to meet their needs. And if there is something that prevents them from using the language, maybe this is their lack. Yeah, they don't know how to say that. Supply them with useful language. Functions are great. You need to teach them. Okay, keep them engaged. Yes, praise is very important. How do you praise your learners? Stickers, okay. Well, if you say thank you, I really like your idea. That's been really interesting what you just told me. This is also a kind of praise. So keep praising your learners. Okay, and I think the key here is a variety. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So I'm highlighting a variety of activities, but there is something else, of course, because it's a variety of interaction patterns, a variety of partners they work with, a variety of presentation techniques. So whatever you do, think critically. Do you have to repeat it in the same way? We'd like to adjust it a little bit and change it. Okay, have a look at this picture. It comes from one of my students who produced it at the end of one of my lessons, yeah? What do you think the aim was?
To express herself.
Yes, yes, definitely. So it's a typical example of project work, you're right. However, well, project is something obvious, yeah? However, how can we make use of this activity? Apart from obvious, come on, draw and write about yourself. What else can we do? How can we exploit it to help? Make
an exhibition in the classroom.
Yes, so we can make use of the results, the outcome, and they can compare, they can give feedback on each other's works. That's a great idea. What else?
Video presentation.
Yes, I like that idea. Video presentation, what do you mean?
Grammar use, like what are you good at? Like you
Aha,
questions that
giving specific feedback.
specific feedback.
Fantastic, yes, definitely. Okay, what else?
Playing a guessing game.
Yes,
Whose picture or whose story is it?
great, yes, okay.
And then we can show this picture to the class, and everybody has to remember objects in this picture, for example, and then you turn it over, yeah, and start asking questions.
All right, yes, great ideas, fantastic, you're so creative, it's great. Now, I used it for another reason. My purpose was to collect information about the learners. It was needs analysis tool at the beginning of the course. I didn't help them with content, I didn't help them with language, I just asked them, come on, do it. And they could choose, actually, whether to do it in pairs, in groups, or individually. This person did it individually, as you can see, yeah? But some of them did it, they collaborated, and they did it in groups. And it was their choice, which is great. Giving choice is another trick, actually, we can use. So, what kind of information I managed to collect? Their level? Yeah? Their preferences? Definitely. Yes, and many other things, if they like drawing, for example, or they don't, if they're good at writing or not, if they need help from their peers or not, all their needs analysis was conducted. Do you think it was enough? Well, I would say no. It's a good idea to use more than 2 or 3 sources to collect information about your learners, to be accurate, yeah, in that process. So you would interview, probably, who you can interview apart from your students?
Parents.
Yes, parents, maybe school administrators, maybe former teachers, so you can know a lot more about your students. But let's talk about project work. So some of the benefits of using project work is obvious. They can work in groups, they can collaborate, we can work on their social skills and help them communicate. And there is a communicative focus, obviously, yeah? Even if they say, can I have a pencil, please? Yeah, they do it on purpose. They can brainstorm ideas, help each other with the content. You can help them with language if you think they need that help, or you can monitor and supply them and scaffold during the task. That's also possible, of course. However, they're not aware of turn-taking skills, and you may want to demonstrate how to do it, how to take turns, how to interact, how to agree, disagree, choose what they want to include in their posters. Right, and yes, I'm highlighting the important thing, functional language, because we often forget that they need some help, what to say there. why they started using L1. They didn't know how to say that yet. That's why we prepare them. Right, another idea. You can see how many prompts? 6 prompts. Fantastic. Why do you think I have 6 prompts? It's done on purpose. Pair work, yes, but why 6? Why not 5? Why not 7?
There are 6 students in this group.
Possibly.
6
Not
students in class.
What else has 6 sides?
Dice.
Good. Can we roll a dice? Yeah? And choose a question to ask. For example, are you interested in, I don't know, giving presentations will be number 1? Do you sometimes attend conferences will be number 2? And we roll a die, yeah? And we ask questions. Is it possible to collect information about each other? Yeah. How can we make use of that information? Exactly. Again, it's another tool to analyze their needs, what they can do. Are they responsible for collecting information about each other? Who is doing the needs analysis? They are, right? They're involved in that. Now, this is another example of how you can differentiate tasks. Stronger students would get these prompts. So do they have to finish the sentences? Yes. Weaker students would get full sentences, yes. So we can scaffold them further, right? Do you think they will need some time to look at the question, decide which ones to use? Again, choice is important. And then, of course, you would ask them to mingle, to work in groups, whatever, preferably with different types of abilities, stronger students with weaker students, so that they can learn from each other. Yes, and they collect information about each other. What happens next? What can we do next? Yes, exactly. How? Visually. They can create a graph. They can create a diagram. Of course, they don't know how to do that, but that's your job. You'll be teaching them how to create, what do we call this type of diagram? A pie chart, yeah. So we can teach them how to create pie charts, and there will be an element of content and language integrated learning, won't it be? Yeah? Which means you are teaching them something in English, and they can benefit. Well, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It's English and content. Right, but the aim of classroom surveys is obvious: communication. There is a task with a communicative focus, and the students are likely to be involved in that activity because they do want to collect information, because they know that there is an outcome and they want to present it. There is information gap activity, of course, because they don't know everything about each other. It's quite important to prompt them with appropriate questions so that they really collect information about each other. They don't guess, they don't describe each other's preferences, but they ask to find out about each other. Right. So, I'm talking about some kind of task-based learning, or some experts call it activity-based approach. So for that, we set up, well, first of all, we select different types of activities to meet our learners' needs, their preferences, wants, lacks, constraints, everything. So based on their needs, based on the information we know about them, we select activities. Or maybe we just design them ourselves, or adjust those that are available in course books. Of course, everything is happening in English because we want them to be exposed to natural English use. And hopefully it is natural. Hopefully it is something that we do in real life situations. And it can help greatly because they'll be motivated. But one of the most beneficial aspects here is that they collaborate and they learn from each other. And weaker students can contribute to that extent that they are able, you know, there are no restrictions. They can contribute with pictures, just ideas, single words. Stronger students would make sentences, yeah, and so on and so forth. Right. I have a couple of prompts for you, tips if you want, teaching implications, because the teacher's role is increasing, yeah, the importance is increasing. And we need to keep in mind a variety of aspects. For example, at the very beginning of the course, we have a set of rules that we need to establish. So setting boundaries is one of the key elements. Without that, it will be hard. It will be messy. We keep working on collecting information about the learners and finding ways how to motivate them. What they like, what they don't like, what they find appealing, what they don't find appealing, and sometimes it might be the same activity but on another topic because they like routines. It was successful. Make use of that. And something new again. So we do think about their different preferences and styles, and we cater for the differences there. We have to provide a variety of things. I'm highlighting that again. Not only activities, but our ways of presenting new information for them. Personalization, some of you have mentioned, yeah, and promoting learner autonomy, self-correction and peer correction. And if they work on projects, surveys, problem-solving type of tasks, they will correct each other if you prompt them, if you help them notice things. Okay, a couple of other recommendations here. I recommend setting goals and negotiate them with your students. For example, at the beginning of the lesson, you can ask them, what would you like to do in the second half of the lesson? Would you like to play a game, watch a video? Yeah, or, I don't know, do a project of some kind. Of course, the options, you pre-select the options, but you give them choice. This is great. Your homework that you assign for them should be relevant. Quite often I see students come, they don't know what to do, how to do that. For example, I had a question from one of my trainees about her student, and they asked whether they had to use this structure or that structure in that homework. Well, if it's not clear, then probably the presentation wasn't memorable or there was no presentation on that, right? And they don't know whether they have to use have, got, or have, and then the teacher corrects them. Yeah, it happens. Anyway, relevant homework. About record keeping, I'm highlighting the importance of helping them with some learning strategies, and record keeping is one of them. And I think it is extremely important, just because they can't recycle without that. So we need to help them build a set of routines, how to put it into practice and take notes during the lesson, so that they can review, help each other. Yeah, if you're at the beginning of the lesson asking about what they can help them with. And you can also issue progress reports so that they can share with their parents and discuss things about their achievements and everything like that. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time, so I'm about to finish. So I've got a list of books I used for my research. And of course, it's not limited. You can add something else there. And you will get the presentation later on, right? Yes. And also I wanted to invite you to BKC because I do represent them. And join our courses. Join me on Facebook. I have a couple of EFL groups. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you so much.